Hey, it's Matt with Midwest Guns and Gear, and going to be talking about some wheel guns on a Wheel Gun Wednesday, and some Colts here. I've got some older antique Colts. These are the Police Positive, and I've got two different ones here. I have one that's marked just 38, and then one that is marked 38 Special. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, because that is one thing when you get into older firearms that you definitely want to take into consideration, because there were several different 38 cartridges out there. There was 38 Colt, well, 38 short Colt and long Colt to be, exact. And then there was 38 Smith & Wesson, and then you had 38 Special, and then now you have 38 Special plus P. So you definitely always, if you're dealing with older firearms, definitely want to look into that, because there is a big difference, and if you put the wrong one in, sometimes it's not great. But we're going to talk about the Colt Police Positive. It is a small frame double action revolver featuring a 6-round cylinder chambered for either 32 or 38 caliber. A 22 caliber model was offered. Designed primarily for sale to federal, state, or local law enforcement agencies, the Police Positive was introduced into the firearms market by Colt in 1905. The Colt Police Positive was an improvement over Colt's earlier New Police revolver, upgraded with an internal hammer block safety. Colt named this new security device the Positive Lock, and it ended up being incorporated as a partial namesake for the new revolver. The cylinder of the Police Positive rotated in a clockwise direction, which is the opposite of Smith & Wesson, which was their major competition at the time. Ever a canny competitor in the firearms industry, Colt missed no opportunity to score points over its arch rival and began an entire marketing campaign which accentuated this in detail. In its advertising, Colt proclaimed that all Colt cylinders turned to the right, and suggested that the Colt design forced the cylinder to crane up against the frame, resulting in a tighter lockup with less play and better chamber and barrel alignment, this markedly increasing accuracy. The Police Positive was a very successful revolver. Along with the Colt Official Police, it dominated the law enforcement firearms market in the early 1900s. The Positive was itself modified in 1908, forming the basis for Colt's Police Positive Special model. Now, a little bit of a history about these. The Police Positive was used in an attempted assassination of former President Theodore Roosevelt, who was campaigning on a third-party ticket. Very interesting story. If you've never heard about that, definitely worth a good read. Showed what a badass Roosevelt really was. Also in the book Casino Royale, James Bond keeps a 38 caliber Police Positive with a sawn-off barrel under his pillow. And a nickel Police Positive with pearl grips in 32 was used by Charles Bronson in Death Wish. American gangster Al Capone used a Police Positive, a nickel 38 Police Positive with walnut grips and a 4-inch barrel, manufactured in 1929. In June of 2011, a private collector sold it at Christie's for the sum of $109,000. The first issue of the Police Positive ran from the revolver's introduction in 1907 until 1927, sporting Clay's standard hard rubber grips. It was offered with barrel lengths of 2.5 inches, only in 32 caliber, 4, 5, and 6 inches, and was chambered in the 32 long Colt. It would also accept 32 short Colt, 32 Colt New Police, and 38 Colt New Police cartridges. The second issue began in 1928 and ran until 1947. It had a somewhat heavier frame as well as a serrated top strap to reduce sight glare while retaining the wooden grips. Both of Colt's New Police rounds were actually slight redesigns of the existing Smith & Wesson cartridges, the 32 Smith & Wesson long and the 38 Smith & Wesson with bullet noses flattened, as Colt resisted providing its main competitor with any free advertising. Colt Police Positive revolvers were marked with Colt DA-32 on the barrel and chambered for the 38 long Colt, Revolvers marked with 32 new Colt Police on the barrel are chambered for 32 Smith & Wesson. Now some of the variations, and that's what we have up here, is the Colt Police Positive Special was an improvement on the earlier Police Positive model, and the only difference really being slightly lengthened cylinder, elongated and straightened frame to allow the chambering of longer, more powerful 32-20 Winchester, or in this one here, the 38 Special cartridges. There was also a Banker's Special, which was a 2-inch barrel. It was in 22 38 Colt New Police, and it was produced from 26 until 1940. And then the Colt Detective Special and its variants, which I've done a video on the Cobra, which is kind of a variant of the Detective Special. You can check that out if you're interested in that. In Hong Kong, these were used by the Hong Kong Police Force. Now, like I said, taking a look at these, I talked about the 38. You've got 38 Colt, 38 New Colt, which would be what this is. It's basically a 38 Smith & Wesson. It is not as powerful as a 38 Special, and whereas a 38 Colt, which is the older 38, you would not want to shoot Smith & Wesson or 38 Special. With the 38 Smith & Wesson, you don't want to shoot 38 Special just because the pressures on it. You know, I talked about how the cylinder was a little longer. Take a look at these two together. And basically, besides running the risk of the gun, possibly blowing up in your hand, the other issue with getting the wrong 38s is it gets out of timing. Now, these Colts are a little different on doing the timing than other revolvers. To set the timing, you basically drop the hammer, and then you check and see if there's any play in the cylinder, which there is absolutely none here. On other revolvers, the timing is checked like this, but Colts, they're done a little bit different. If you can drop the hammer and you've got play in the cylinder, have someone, a gunsmith, someone that knows a little more about their firearms, unless you are a gunsmith, but you probably know this, but if that's the case, you don't want to shoot it. Because basically your cylinder is not going to line up with your barrel. Now this one, the same thing. You got a little play here, but if I drop the hammer, normally I do this with two hands, but yeah, there is no play whatsoever in this. And that's with older Colts, older revolvers. You definitely want to be looking at that. Now, I've got another one here. This is a Colt Official Police and 38 Special, very similar. And yeah, absolutely no play in this at all. They look very similar, other than a little bit longer barrel. But that's a little look at the Colt Police Positive. These, for years, these would pop up online in pawn shops, and were pretty cheap. They're starting to go up in value just a little bit now, but they're fun old revolvers to shoot. I get a kick out of shooting, stuff that was made before I was even born, and especially older turn of the century kind of stuff. I actually have a rifle on the way here now that was made in 1870 or 1874, so really looking forward to that. But yeah, I get a kick out of these, shooting them, and as a matter of fact, we're going to head out to the range with these right now. I know I got 38 Special. I need to look in my ammo, see if I've still got some 38 Smith & Wesson, and as long as I do, we'll have this one out shooting as well. So let's head out to the range. Come join me. We're down on the range. Nice snowy and cold out, so we're going to make this quick. I've got the Colt Police Positive Special. Got 6 rounds of 38 Special in there. 6 rounds. It's Colt Police Positive Special. I could not find the 38 Smith & Wesson rounds in my gun room, so we just kind of skipped and did this one. It's Matt with Midwest Guns and Gear. If you enjoy these videos, please consider giving us a thumbs up or subscribing to the channel. It's much appreciated, and it helps the channel grow. Until next time, have a great day.